This is Unit 2, Lesson 10, and this is our final lesson for this unit. We will be applying congruent supplements and congruent complements theorems separately. So if you don't remember, please identify your vocabulary cards for supplementary angles and complementary angles, as you will need to know what those are for this lesson. So the vocabulary is congruent supplements theorem. So it says that if two angles are supplementary, and we know that supplementary angles are two angles which have a sum of 180 degrees, to the same angle, then the two angles are congruent. So what does that mean? So if I have an angle 1 plus 70 equals 180, and I have an angle 2 plus 70 equals 180, well, because they both equal 180, angle 1 has to be equal to angle 2. There's no other option. They both equal one time. Similarly, for congruence complements theorem, if two angles are complementary, and we know that complementary angles are two angles whose sum to 90 degrees, then they are also congruent. So let's say we had an angle 3 plus 60 equals to 90, and we had an angle 4 plus 60 equals to 90. Well, angle 3 then must be the same as angle 4, right? They would both be 30, right? So if we're adding two angles together and they're both complementary to the same angle, which would be the 60 degrees here, then we know that those two resulting angles are equal. That's what each of these theorems state. So in the first part of our lesson, we're going to apply congruence supplements theorem. In this particular example, it doesn't make the proof that much shorter, but it does make it a little bit shorter. In other proofs, remembering these theorems will make them 2 to 3 lines shorter in your proof. So for the most part, everything's the same. 1 is the same as we have here. 2 is the same. 3 is the same. Right? Those are all the same. However, when we get to step 4, we don't need step 4. Step 4 will be what step 5 is in saying angle x is equal to itself, the measure of angle x. And we know that that's reflexive property. Well, since step 3 tells us that both of these have angle x in it, that is the congruent angle, because these add to the same amount of 180 and 180, measure of w and the measure of y have to be the same. So we can eliminate one step from this proof that involves subtraction and go right to the measure of angle w is equal to the measure of angle y. And what's our reason? Our reason is, and we can say equal to, or we can say angle w is congruent to angle y. Congruent supplements theorem. Could I have proven this using substitution and subtraction property? Yes. But do I need to? No, I could also use congruent supplements theorem. So there is a variety of ways to tackle proofs. And again, we want to say that angles that are equal in measure are congruent because we're changing between notations here.